Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting, 5 times a week, Monday through Friday. Here's Gerald Celente with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Tuesday, December 18th, 2018. And here are some of today's trends in the news on the market front. Over there in Asia, another down day. Across Europe, down too with the markets over there. Here in the States, woof, Dow was up over 300 points. Then it was down, and it closed a little up, over 80 points. NASDAQ up. Oil, woof, bam, boom. That's right. You're looking at that West Texas down over 7%. Kept going down after the markets closed. Brent crude down too. Gold up a little bit, and so too Bitcoin down a bit. What happened over here? The S&P 500 closed just above its 2018 low Tuesday as stocks struggled to keep a rebound alive throughout the session. That's right, it was up over again, 330 points, down over 70, and up a little over 80. So this volatility is real. And then I mentioned that oil prices, way down. That's right. How come? It's called supply and demand. You know what we've been writing about, talking about over the last several months? A global economic slowdown. More supply than demand. Take a look at copper. Dr. Copper, that's right. You could gauge where economies are going by how much copper prices are going up and down. Because copper is used in everything from industry, heavy industry, to high tech. So, take a look what's going on over there in China. They take in about 50% of all the new copper produced. Oh yeah, you saw those numbers that came out. Retail sales, worst in 15 years. Industrial output, down. GDP growth, worst since 2008, 2009. It's a slowdown of the global economy. Japan, big exporter of product. Big economy. Negative GDP. Last quarter, down 2.5%. Look what's going on in Europe. Lower estimates for GDP growth. You're looking at places like Germany, one of the world's largest exporters of product. You're looking for GDP growth around 1%. So, all goes back to oil and copper and the global economy. So, it's about economic growth. And the Fed tomorrow is expected to raise interest rates another 25 basis points. But will they come out with a bearish tone that they're not going to raise them aggressively in 2019? And the beat on the street is that it's going to be an upbeat in the meaning that they're not going to be aggressive in raising rates. And what happened with Trump? Well, I hope the people over at the Fed will read today's Wall Street Journal editorial before they make another mistake. Also, don't let the market become any more illiquid than it already is. Stop with the 50 Bs. Feel the market. Don't just go by meaningless numbers. Good luck. So you can see the pressure. This is important. Now hear this. While over in Europe and over in Japan, with their negative interest rates, they can't go lower. But the Fed can. And the Fed may well. Because if this global economy continues to slow down, and if these markets continue to sink, the Fed could lower interest rates. That's right. There'll be a 2.25 to 2.50 overnight rate. They got room to go lower. And that'll be some monetary meth that'll keep that bull alive for a little bit longer. Which brings us to, today you got them, your top 10 megatrends for 2019. And one of them, of course, is economic 9/11, a term we coined on September 19th, 2018, 2 days before the markets peaked. And now you see it. The Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, all in correction territory, down over 10% since their high this year. You go around the world, the Asia-Pacific Index, down, bear territory, down over 25%. Shanghai Composite, China, bear territory, down over 25%. Emerging Market Index, down over 25%. They're going to do what they can to juice the markets. Other top trends coming along. Human waves. The great migration trends that we see, they're just beginning. We'll tell you why and tell you more what's going to go on and how it's going to impact societies worldwide. America, Puritan 2.0. Oh, yeah. The uptight place, man. Oh, can't say man. I got to say men and women. Yeah. Anyway, ready to explode. Censorship 2019. And get high, get healthy. Boop. The marijuana trend. The one that we picked among the first many years ago. Reefer, money, madness. And by the way, big story right here in New York. Cuomo moves to legalize recreational marijuana within months. A push that could bring about $1.7 billion a year. It's all about tax dough. Same reason they did away with prohibition back in the 30s, doing away with it now. And the disgrace of all this is that we got to rely on one jerk to tell us what to do. I'm the guy that said that this is a gateway drug to, worse stuff. But now we need the tax dollars, so now I'm going to legalize it. What a bullshit system we have that we got to rely on politicians to run and rule our lives. Go back to your top trends for 2018. Blockchain democracy. We should tell them what to do. Direct democracy, and you could do it with blockchain voting. Anyway, big trend, just one of the many. Get high, get healthy. Blessed are the geeks. Oh, you know what that means? That's a big trend too. In the King James Bible, they said, the meek shall inherit the earth. Blessed are the meek. They misspelled it. It's blessed are the geeks, man. They've taken over. That's right. You see where it's going? Because one of the other ones we have is Generation Z equals Generation Zero, and dying brands. That's just some of what you got in your new Trends Journal. Just went out today. The only place where you read history before it happens, nowhere, no place in the entire world will you see top trends like this. Money back guaranteed, and let us know if anyone else is doing it. We'd like to see them and compare the data. We've been at this almost 40 years. We'll put our track record up against anybody's. You look at last year's trends, they're this year's trends. This year's trends are going to be many-year trends in the future. And moving on. Well, gold, as I mentioned, the price kind of steadied. They're watching where the markets are going. End of story, and no more to it than that. All sectors of the economy are down, and gold is that ultimate safe haven asset. Oil prices, again, they're plunging because global economies are slowing down. As I mentioned, Dr. Copper's down as well, over 3% today. But this is why you subscribe to the Trends Journal, so you don't read this kind of stuff. Headline in today's Wall Street Journal. December stock market rout deepened Monday as a broad sell-off sparked by fears ranging from this week's Federal Reserve meeting to the continuing U.S.-China trade dispute. The U.S.-China trade dispute equals absolutely zero. Again, all of Trump's tariffs on China equal a mere 0.7% of the GDP. They're having the worst car sales in China going back to the 1990s. Again, retail sales down, worst levels in 15 years. Has nothing to do with trade. It has to do with people having money in their pocket. And it's a global slowdown, and that's why you're seeing what's going on in Belgium, in France, with the people taking to the streets because they're tired of getting shafted and got no dough. Don't bet more on China's stimulus. Bop. China is slowing more rapidly now, as unexpectedly poor trade and industrial data last month showed. Stimulus measures have been modest, disappointing investors who have plugged chips on the commodity or heavy industrial plays. With growth drooping in the rest of the world, a Chinese fiscal boost probably won't be enough to run around flagging commodity prices. So, we got a global slowdown. Our bet is against theirs. China will do all they can to juice the economy. Italy's leading parties agree to spend less in bid to avert Brussels curbs. You know what happened. They said that they were going to increase the budget deficit so the average Italian could get more money. Well, guess what? They backtracked. The changed budget, which is likely to result in a dilution of the coalition's flagship policies, such as 5 stars so-called citizens' income welfare payments and a reduction in the retirement age, marks a sharp reversal for Mr. Salvini and Mr. Di Maio, both of whom had previously pledged to stick to their original plans. They're politicians. Look up the definition, Google it up. Someone who's manipulative and devious, typically to gain advancement within an organization in a country near you. And what else do we have here? Uzbekistan steps up bid to end forced labor in cotton fields. So you know what they're going to do? They're going to send them over to work in one of those Amazon plantations maybe, huh? Yeah, because here's the story. New Google campus accelerates tech's march into New York City. Google said on Monday, yesterday, that a plan to create a $1 billion campus just south of the West Village is going to have the Internet company's push into one of Manhattan's most famous neighborhoods, positioning it to become one of New York's biggest occupants of office space, allowing it to double its workforce in the city to more than 14,000 over the next decade. 14,000, big deal. Big deal. $1 billion. We the stupid people, I mentioned Cuomo, the clown governor over here, another little boy born on third base and thought he had a home run. His daddy was Mario, like his fat-mouthed brother on CNN, Chris Cuomo, the arrogant boy. Born on third base, thought they had a home run. They'd be nowhere if their name wasn't Cuomo. Gave Amazon $3 billion of our bucks to the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos. That's going to cost us $48,000 a job. These aren't tax breaks. These are screwing us. They take our money, they give it to the billionaires. So, Uzbekistan, maybe they're going to send some of their folks over here to work on one of the Amazon plantations where you can make on average about $28,000 a year for a full-time job. U.S. seeks to spur Afghan peace efforts. Hey, about time, you guys. You lost the war, 17 years going on. You got nothing to show for it other than murdering innocent people, destroying an entire country based on lies by war criminal Bush and all the Republicans and Democrats and all you folks that supported the murder. America's military hasn't won a war since World War II. Let's stop this murder and invest our money to rebuild America and to help we the people. rather than destroying countries overseas. 17 years, oh, and by the way, the midterm elections, not one word mentioned about the wars going on. Occupy peace, end the wars. And then, finally, Russian election effort focused on influencing African American vote. Big story here. I suggest you go to this site at the World Socialist website, 18 December 2018, the disinformation campaign behind the allegations of Russian disinformation. The people behind this, here's some of their credentials. Ryan Fox, co-founder of New Knowledge and co-author of the report, worked for the National Security Agency, NSA, for 15 years. He served on the U.S. Joint Special Operations Command as the CNO analyst for the U.S. Army. This is a quote from their site. His partner, the company's CEO, is Jonathan Morgan, who has published for the state-connected Brookings Institution and worked as a special advisor to the State Department. It goes on and on and on. Craig Cummings spent 17 years in the Army, one after another. This is the guy. But I want to read you something. It wasn't the Russians that kept the blacks from voting against Hillary Clinton or not turning out for her. Why Hillary Clinton couldn't rely on the black vote. Published 11 November 2016. This is by Jack Brewer, CEO of the Brewer Group, former NFL safety. He goes on and then he says, as a CNN contributor, Van Jones and others so eloquently displayed in the Netflix documentary, The 13th, former President Bill Clinton's crime bill resulted in more blacks being sent to prison for nonviolent crimes than during any other presidential administration in our nation's history. Not only did he enforce and promote mass incarceration at that time, he went on to stand behind these policies for almost 20 years. If there is one thing that has stripped undeserved black communities of opportunity, it is the unwarranted incarceration of nonviolent black men and women that has left hundreds of thousands of families without their fathers or mothers. It doesn't stop there. Clinton also went on to enforce mandatory minimum punishment laws that still today are putting a dagger in many lower and middle-class black families. These mandatory minimum punishments are the single biggest reason that the unjust imprisonment of American men and women is still the highest of any country in the world. While these policies from Bill Clinton's administration, people always associate these policies with the Clintons. It's something she could never shake. That's it. The blacks didn't turn out to vote for Hillary Clinton, not because of what the Russians said. It's because of what Bill Clinton did. They didn't vote for Hillary Clinton because they couldn't stand her. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's Trends in the News.